In this video, we're going to look at active and passive immunity. So active and passive immunity allow us to be able to defend ourselves against a pathogen, but it does it in different ways. So active immunity is where your body produces its own antibodies and or T cells against a pathogen. Passive immunity is where you get those antibodies from someone else. So in active immunity, you can have two different types of active immunity. You could have natural active immunity. This is where you are exposed to an antigen, right? Let's say the flu, you're exposed to the flu, your body fights the flu off, right? Your immune system fights it off. Now you have that immunity to it naturally. So natural active immunity requires you to be exposed to an antigen naturally through getting sick, basically. Artificial active immunity is where you are exposed to an antigen as well, but here you're exposed to it deliberately. Artificially, so meaning you get a vaccine, for instance. So if you get a vaccine for the flu, you get a flu vaccination, you're basically bringing that antigen into your body artificially through a shot rather than just getting it naturally. But a lot of times that flu virus, when you get it in a vaccine, it's either going to be a weakened form of the virus or it may be a dead form of the virus. Meaning your body's still going to be able to respond to the virus in the same way because it's still going to have the same structure and shape and everything like that, just like a live one would. But the virus is not going to be able to make you sick because it's been weakened or it's been killed. Same thing goes for most types of vaccines. They're either weakened or dead forms of the pathogen. So your body can still respond to them and help develop an immune response to it and a memory of it. But it does it without you actually having to go through all those terrible symptoms of you getting sick. So again, vaccinations, this is where you receive dead or disabled pathogens instead of a live, healthy pathogen. And so you get these either orally, you can get them sometimes, you can get the kind that you place in the nasal cavity, squirt in almost like nose drops. You can get them injected as well. And so these will prevent you from getting ill by introducing your body to the pathogen artificially and allowing you to develop that immune response to it. Now, passive immunity is where you acquire antibodies from another source. So your body does not actually produce the antibodies, you're getting them from somewhere else. Now, you can get natural passive immunity when you see instances of a fetus receiving antibodies from their mother, right? When those antibodies cross the placenta and get into the fetus, that can provide protection to the fetus for the first few months of its life. A baby can also receive antibodies through breast milk. So when you breastfeed, antibodies are passed from the mother to the baby as well, and that gives them some protection against pathogens that they come into contact with early on in life. This is important because babies are very fragile, when they're very young. They're very susceptible to infection, and so the more protection that they have early on, typically the better off they will be in the long run. Now, artificial passive immunity is where you get these antibodies artificially. So instead of getting them from a natural source like you do through the placenta or through breast milk, in artificial passive immunity, you're receiving these antibodies in an injection, kind of like a vaccine. But here, you're not getting an injection of a pathogen, you're getting an injection of serum, probably from another person, or serum that has been made in a lab using animal cells that contains antibodies against that antigen that you're trying to protect yourself from. This was a really common thing during COVID. People who had COVID and had gotten over COVID had developed a lot of antibodies against it, and so they would go give plasma donations and donate those antibodies, and then people could take the antibodies from that plasma and give them to someone else who was sick with COVID and was not doing so well, and those antibodies would help that person fight that infection or fight that virus off. This is also going to be used for treatment of snake bites. You can give artificial antibodies against certain types of snake venom to help clear it from the body, and things like tetanus shot and rabies kind of works on the same principle. You're giving antibodies that can help fight off those pathogens rather than, now with artificial passive immunity and natural passive immunity, with both of these, these are not, long-term forms of immunity. So it will give you temporary immunity, allow you to be, protected against these things for a short period of time, but it's not going to give you lifelong immunity because these antibodies will eventually break down. And if your own cells are not producing the antibodies, once they break down, they're gone, right? So in order to have a lifelong form of immunity, you really want to have that active immunity where you have a cell-mediated response within your immune system, and you are developing those memory T cells and memory B cells that can remain in your life, that can remain in your body for the remainder of your life and allow you to continue to fight off those pathogens effectively.